Hi, I'm Megan, and this is Meet the Press with the election of 1828. This is the election between the incumbent president, John Quincy Adams, and the challenger, Andrew Jackson. Mudslinging between the two is rampant, with allegations of murder and adultery flying back and forth. Their rivalry runs deep, Adams being an elitist and Andrews a populist. This election also marks the strong return of a two-party system, with Adams' administration being the National Republicans and Andrews' followers being the Democratic Republicans, or Democrats. Jackson and his appeal to the common folk will sure give Adams, the defender of the status quo, a run for his money. Here's Kyle, representing Andrew Jackson, and Constancia, representing John Quincy Adams. What makes the common man more equipped for running the government?
Well, as a supporter for Andrew Jackson, I support the rights of the common man. The common man should vote and even run for office, since the common man would make America, America. They are the men who work, who have families, find wars, and even choose to run the government. The common man are completely capable and suitable to run for office. An example of this is Andrew Jackson, who was born into poverty and worked his way up to running into this election. So yes, I support the common man.
Okay, cool. And Constancia, what makes elitists more equipped at running the government?
Well, as Adams, I would think the elitists are the ones who should run government due to their higher statuses in society. Because of their statuses, they of course have the political intelligence needed in order to run a country. Also, since they come from privileged families, they're already expected to have a much more in-depth education about politics and how our government runs compared to the common man. Adams is a great example. His own father was the president of the United States, and when Adams was just a young boy, his father was serving his term, and his life revolved around politics. Because of his experience and knowledge of how the strong government leader should act, Adams should be elected for his second term.
Okay. Okay, so what do you guys think about the law requiring property to vote?
Well, like I said earlier, the common man are what makes America, America, so they should get to vote even if they don't have property. The government should not be run and controlled by the common man, since they are what make America, America. So all white men should get to vote even if they do not have any property.
Okay.
Well, usually the more property you own means the more wealthier you are nowadays. And theoretically, since you have more property and wealth, you're most likely come from a privileged family, and therefore you have been given a better education than most common men. So since people with property tend to have a better sense of government, they should be able to vote rather than a common man voting for whoever he thinks is right for the position. Privileged people have a better understanding of who we need in our government.
Yes. To what extent do you think the national government should be involved in state affairs?
I believe that the government intervention into state affairs is not necessarily a bad thing, but the government has too much involvement or power over the state or its inhabitants that it's a bad thing. If the government intervening is hurting the common man, like the national bank, then it should have to go. So in some cases, less government intervention is good, but also it can be bad.
Okay. What do you think about national government involvement?
Well, as a supporter of Adams, I believe that the national government should definitely be involved within our economy through the American system. He wants to push education to a higher level, and his idea to raise public funds in order to create a national university will give more students the opportunity to receive a better education. And he also believes, or Adam believes, in building the nation's culture through a more fund for science and arts, so that the nation's culture can be expanded and create its own national identity. And that way, with high tariffs, we can build a better and efficient future for our nation.
Good point. What are your views on the national bank?
I'm strongly against the Second National Bank of the United States because I think it's only an excuse to benefit the wealthy. It's quite frankly just powerful. The United States should just stick to using gold and silver like it has been instead of having to rely on one single institution for our currency.
Okay, and what about you?
Well, Adams is a strong believer of the national bank because the government having direct involvement within our economy is part of the American system he wants to push forward for, which helps our nation into becoming a world power through internal improvements. And within these internal improvements, higher tariffs would be put for the people in order for the nation to have improvements such as road buildings and a national bank. And this bank will encourage productive enterprise to form a stable national currency. And it will also help our nation's economy by protecting domestic manufacturing and making tariffs on exports much cheaper than it is right now. So the bank can only help our nation, not hurt it.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for Meet the Press. Thank you. What are your views on the rivalry between Jackson and Adams?
Rivalry? Adams is only for the rich people. He'll make laws to benefit fat, rich elitists. He only won last election because he bribed a representative. Only because his wife is a foreigner. He'll pay attention to the foreigners' needs instead of his own people's.
Okay. Next question. Who are you going to vote for in the upcoming election?
Jackson is the man for the job. He supports rights as a common man and will actually listen to the needs of the American people. He's a war hero who will sweep our government's corruption out and put justice within our system. If you don't want a fat, rich elitist running our country, then vote for Jackson, the man.
Okay.
The man.
Who are you going to vote for in the upcoming election?
Well, obviously Adams is the man, the only man really, fit for the position. He actually wants to do something for the nation. By stabilizing our economy, we can have a better future for our children. They will be able to go to school and get a better education. Our roads will be new and improved. The currency with all states will become more universal and we'll be able to purchase certain things on demand much cheaper and easier for us to get it. You can't go wrong with someone who really wants to help you.
So, what are your views on the election of 1828?
I don't know how to read, seriously.
Yeah.